Hey guys, it's Stacy here. Welcome back to my channel. So today's project, I want to plant up a couple of containers with plants that I purchased from my Lowe's Garden Center. So first off, I have a couple of Coleus, and Coleus hands down are some of my favorite plants. I love to plant them up every year. They just bring in a beautiful pop of color to your containers, to your garden space. They come in a wide variety of leaf shapes and sizes, and again, just beautiful color. Now they do grow really quickly, so you want to make sure that you do give them space, especially if you're planting them in containers. They grow quickly and they grow pretty large. So again, give them some space. Now here in Kentucky, zone 6, they are an annual, so pretty much one and done, but again, totally worth it for the beautiful color that they bring to the garden, even though they're not going to come back for me the following year. They like temperatures above 40 degrees. Now this one here is called Angelina Stonecrop Sedum. I picked up 3 containers of this one. Now this one is a perennial in zone 5 through 9. It is a fast growing, low growing ground cover. Beautiful lime green color. It can take drier or, it's drought tolerant, dry conditions. And this one does turn more of a golden orange color in the cooler months of fall and winter. But I love this plant. I actually planted it up in a past video with some lamb's ear, and I just love the combination. I just loved the look of this container. It just did so well, and I knew that I needed more sedum in my garden, in my containers, and so love this plant. So this first container I'll be using, I actually purchased it in the fall at Rural King. I actually purchased a few of them. I used to plant up my spring bulbs, and I had this one here left over. So the only bad thing is that they don't have drainage holes in the bottom. So no worries, you can take a drill, a nice large drill bit, and drill your own, because you want to make sure that your containers have drainage. You don't want to have it rain and then your plants drowned and die, and so you got to have drainage when your containers are outside. So again, my container, a nice large size, and I have my drainage holes in the bottom, so now I can add my potting mix. And I'm just using some Miracle-Gro potting mix that already has the plant food or fertilizer mixed in, and so now I'm ready for planting. So starting with the sedum, I have 3 plants total. I can just equally space them in this container close to the edges of the container, leaving that center open. I think I want to put that Coleus in the center. Now, when you are removing your plant from its little nursery pot, you don't have to worry about messing with the root system unless it is root bound and you want to kind of break up those roots. Or, if you want to remove some of that root ball or some of that soil to make it fit in your planting hole or fit in a container. I do that really often when I am planting multiple plants in a container and I'm trying to make them all fit in there. I'll kind of mess with that root ball, but other than those 2 reasons, you really don't have to mess with it. You can just make your planting hole and put it right in there. So just making a planting hole here in the center, again for my Coleus. And so I have 2 Coleus here that I can choose to put in the center. And I'm going with the Coleus that has a better contrast in color with the bright lime green of the sedum. So this one here has more of the dark colors of the red and maroon compared to the other Coleus that has really a lot of lime green, really similar to the sedum. So I think this one I like better. I think it's a better choice. So I'm going to go ahead and plant this up, and then I will go on to the other container. Now onto this smaller container, and guys, I want to share a quick tip with you that'll save you money and save you potting mix. You can take bottles, empty bottles and things like that, even empty, water or milk jugs. If you are putting them in larger containers, you can put them in the bottom, put your potting mix right on top of that, and it will allow you to use less potting mix, and that will save you money. So I did that in this container. Probably should have done it in the larger container because I almost used an entire bag of potting mix in that container. And so I decided to place things in the bottom of this container to save potting mix. And, things like annuals that are not going to be in these containers, for, months and months and months, it's okay to do this because their root system is not really going to need all of the space, and so you can get away with doing this sort of thing. And again, it'll save you potting mix, which saves you money. Now, because you use the bottles in the bottom of the containers, it does make that container weigh less. So if you're like me, I like to move my containers around maybe throughout the season. I think it's just fun to kind of change it up a bit. And so it's nice when they are lighter in weight, I can move them around a lot easier. So here they are planted up, and so you can see some spaces in between the sedum, but that will fill in. I wanted to use 3 sedum to give them more room because I planted 4 sedum with the lamb's ear, like I said in the past, and it really was just so much for that size container. It was really just growing over the edges, and I wanted to give it a little more room. Now I also just did the Coleus in this smaller container because, again, this Coleus is going to grow large, fill this container up in no time, so I really didn't want anything else in this container. And guys, while we're at it and talking about sedum, I just wanted to share with you some of my sedum plants that I absolutely love. The first one here in this container that actually matches back to the one I just planted up. This one is called Autumn Fire Sedum. I purchased this, I think, like 3 seasons ago, planted it up when it was smaller in a hanging basket, and it did fantastic. I just kept it over the winter in that hanging basket, and I think I just cut it back either fall or early spring, and you can just cut it down a couple of inches above the ground, and it'll put on that new growth early spring and just start to really take off and grow really big and large for you and look really beautiful. Now, after I removed it from that hanging basket last year, I put it in my self-watering container, and again, it did fantastic. It looked so beautiful. It grew really large, and so again, I just cut it down during the fall, and it started to grow back this spring already, and you can see what it looks like now in this container. And I wanted to plant it in a large container to give it plenty of room to grow. Again, these are just so beautiful in your garden, really reliable, really hardy. They'll come back for you every year, and I just love having them in my garden, in my containers. And this next sedum here that I absolutely love that I got last year is October Daphne. And so this one here, last year I just planted it up in this container. I just enjoyed it, all season long. And then late fall, early winter, just cut it back again, just a couple of inches above the soil. And actually through the winter, it looked like it was dead until you see just, late winter, early spring, that new growth is starting to appear, and then it just starts to take off and just looks really beautiful. Once again, really tough plant, really easy, low maintenance, just so reliable, and just a great one to have in your garden. And so now I just have it hanging out here around my mailbox post with my heucheras that I also love. And if you're liking this video so far, give it a thumbs up. So I decided to put this container here up on my porch, just in the corner. This area gets a little more shade, and this Coleus and the Sedum here does fine in kind of a part shade situation. And so it does get morning sun, but then the sun kind of goes over the house and it's more shaded in this location. And speaking of heucheras, I have more heucheras here, and I did decide to just place them in all of my self-watering containers this year. So last year in my large self-watering container, I planted up 4 heucheras in here, and they just look so beautiful. And so I decided my other heucheras I just had in random containers, I would just put them in my smaller self-watering containers. And so I actually cut them down pretty hard early spring, and they're growing back just beautifully. And some of these heucheras, I think it'll be the 3rd season for them, and they do well every year and just look so great. They're again low maintenance plants, and they are just as beautiful, I think, as the Coleus, because they have all the different beautiful colors that give you that beautiful pop of color in your garden. So I decided to place this beautiful Coleus up here with this October Daphne Sedum and this Heuchera. I just think the pop of color is pretty, and it's just so much fun to kind of dress up this area for the different seasons. It's just so much fun. So guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more of my planting and gardening content and so much more, check out my channel. You can check out more of my videos by hitting this playlist now, and I'll see you later. Bye.